it has come to my attention that former friends of mine, namely Sana and Kez, have made a video about costume dramas without inviting me. They have now been reduced to mere acquaintances in my eye. Of course, on further reflection, I understand their reasoning. To invite one such as myself to a discussion in which you are attempting to appear an expert would of course only result in embarrassment for the inviting parties. Anyway, I thought I would make a video response talking about my favourite costume dramas ranked. As a white middle class person who would kind of be okay wherever you plonk me down in history, I love a good costume drama. Thing is, I know that it's silly to romanticize a time where everybody smelled terrible and died of splinters at 50. And if you had any kind of mental health problem, they probably just kicked you to death and called it a kindness. And I know that it's a huge privilege to be able to kind of like see yourself in these stories or imagine yourself in that time without it being extremely complicated. But god damn it, I love what I love, and there's no law against that now. Anyway, let's crack on with a reverse order countdown because I love drama and I so rarely get to prove that I can count to 10. Number 10. The favourite, controversial newcomer. I've watched this film about 6 times already. It came out last year. I always turn it off before the last scene because if you've seen it once, why put yourself through it again? It's about Queen Anne and her reign and her relationships. It gets bonus points for queer representation. Not a lot of that in this video. Amazing acting, amazing costumes. I get very excited seeing bits they filmed at Hampton Court because I too have flounced around there in a cloak. They let you borrow cloaks when you get there. I don't bring my own from home. That's only for special occasions. The dancing scene with Taylor Swift's boyfriend kills me every time. And the wanking scene with Taylor Swift's boyfriend. Imagine watching Emma Stone wank off your boyfriend. Actually, that sounds fine as long as I'm there too and she wanks me off afterwards. Number 9, Victoria. This one is about Queen Victoria when she was young. The guy who plays Albert is so hot. If Albert were really that hot, I can see why Victoria would be so upset about him dying. When I'm at the Royal Albert Hall now, I look up at the marble bust that sits over the orchestra and I give him a cheeky nod. Hello Albert, you old sex pot. Jenna Coleman is great. I could look at her eyebrows all day. Costumes and locations are amazing. It's a good all-rounder. Number 8, Marie Antoinette. I actually love a film that just meanders around without much of a plot, with the caveat that it's nice to look at and kind of accessible and enjoyable along the way. Marie Antoinette, which was directed by Sofia Coppola, was my absolute favourite film when I was about 15 because I was trying to seem really cool and cultured, which is hilarious now that that's the film I chose. I still think it's great and I still love it. At some points it feels less like a film and more like a kind of fancy historical screensaver you've put in the background of your laptop, but I love everything about how they've combined like the historical with the modern. Soundtrack rules, the costumes, the colours, the food, that montage with all the clothes, and you know, it makes you feel a little bit bad for them, even though obviously we should eat the rich. Number 7, Poldark. I'm saying it like that because that's how they say his name in the show, Poldark, like emphasis on the second syllable, but when you say it out loud when you're talking about the TV series, you always say Poldark. For why? I don't know what is correct and I don't care to learn. I watched Poldark a bit when it came out and I vaguely enjoyed it, but then recently I got ill and rewatched pretty much all of it in 4 days. And I got to that stage of obsessively binging something where your actual life feels less real, and like Demelza was my life now. It's set in 18th century Cornwall and it's about a guy who owns a mine. The show should be called Demelza. Poldark is a complete arsehole, and even though I think you're supposed to know he is a bit shit, he's also still kind of positioned as the protagonist, like you're still supposed to understand him deep down. No, I understand nothing. I still haven't watched the last series, which came out recently, so I really hope that in that one he falls off a cliff and Demelza marries someone much nicer, like me. Number 6, The Crown. I can't get over how weird it is to have a series like this come out while most of the people in it are still alive. I know that happens a lot, but for some reason it feels like the royal family would have arranged to like bump off some of the people who were trying to make that decision at Netflix. Just imagine popping onto Netflix and being able to watch a fictionalized version of like you reacting to your father dying, you and your husband having marital arguments. Although it is a massive compliment to be played by Claire Foy, I wouldn't mind if everyone thought I was that hot when I was younger. Anyway, it's really good. I'm not at all a royalist, but it does make you like them a bit more somehow. Maybe it's actually funded by the royal family to try and trick us into liking them more so it doesn't all get a bit Marie Antoinette, directed by Sofia Coppola. Number 5, War and Peace. I love it when actors in TV shows are just told to go with their normal accents, even though it makes absolutely no sense. This one is based on the book, obviously, and it is about 5 members of the Russian aristocracy while they are at war with France. I watched all of this recently another time when I was ill, and I have to say, do not watch it all in one go because it will destroy your mind, soul, and spirit. I think it actually made me more ill because I was so sad. A lot of people die, a lot. And at one point, there's this really sad moment with a dog. When I watched it, I actually had to pause for a little while because I realized I was doing that horrifying, open-mouthed, silent crying with basically no tears coming out, so it's just like you're screaming. Anyway, it's a great show, give it a watch. Number 4, Far From the Madding Crowd. Carey Mulligan, yes. Whoever plays Gabriel and her mean military husband, yes and yes. So that's 3 strong yeses for me. Oh, and Fanny. Oh my god, we can't forget Fanny. Thumbs up for Fanny. It's all a bit dark and moody and ridiculous, but sometimes you need that. Definitely not really one to watch when you want a cozy, warm, fuzzy kind of costume drama. More when you're in like a sheep snuff film, barns on fire, men looking longingly across the farm kind of mood, which I always am. Number 3, Anne with an E. This show is so charming, it is ridiculous. It is based on the Anne of Green Gables books. I do think I have a particular soft spot for Anne, because I too was outrageously overdramatic and chronically annoying as a child. Luckily I've grown out of it. I do remember reading the book when I was younger and I don't remember falling in love with it, but this show has remedied that. It is set in the late 1800s in America, and it is about an orphan who is adopted by an older brother and sister. There is a new series coming out in January, so you have time to catch up. It is the perfect autumn watch. Number 2, Outlander. Can't go more than 24 hours without talking about Outlander, obviously. Outlander is about a woman who travels back in time through some stones, meets an extremely hot Highlander called Jamie Fraser. He is my husband, and I love him very much. I prefer the earlier seasons over the newer stuff because they're just much better, but I will still ingest every scrap of this that they put out into the world. Delicious. Listen, I think I've talked about it before, but Outlander is very dark. It's got very sexy bits, very dramatic bits. It's more of an adventure with romance than just a romance. It's got politics, it's got war, it's got shipwrecks, but most importantly, it's got that bit where she gives him a blowjob. Anyway, number 1, Pride and Prejudice. 2005. Listen, I know I'm gonna get a lot of shit for not including the BBC series of Pride and Prejudice, and a lot of things, like a lot of BBC Austen adaptations are not included in this top 10. But variety is the spice of life, so shut up. Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley is the perfect film. Everyone in it is beautiful, it is shot beautifully. They basically seem to have filmed the whole thing at golden hour. I was saying to my boyfriend that I feel like every day they just got set up and ready to film between like 4 and 5 p.m. and that's all they had, and some night shoots. And they probably just spent the rest of the time arranging Keira Knightley's Fringe. The soundtrack, oh my god, I hear it in my dreams. It is cozy and warm and wonderful, and I love it right up until the moment when I watched the deleted alternate ending. There is an extra scene that I had never seen before, and now I can't erase it from my brain, and at that point I'm afraid it becomes the worst film ever made. Do not watch it with the alternate ending, the extra ending scene where you actually get to see them kiss. You'd think it sounds good. I thought it sounded good. It's not good. I actually screamed with horror. Otherwise, it is perfect. So those are my top 10. Honorary mentions need to go to some more films and TV shows. The Duchess, which is another Keira Knightley favourite, but very depressing. Mr. Selfridge, which I devoured a few years ago. Downton Abbey, because sure, whatever. Becoming Jane, because I love Jane Austen. And I know she didn't like need a man, but she did love writing romance, and the idea that she maybe would have got to experience that for herself. Oh, Jane. Brooklyn, because it's so perfect and so sad. Belle, for having a woman of colour in it and actually discussing the issues of slavery at the time. And The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, because I love it so much that I feel like it was very specifically made for me. Some of those are more modern, which is why I didn't really include them, because I feel like that's not really what you're after when you're thinking about costume drama. Anyway, I'm done now. Tell me all the reasons why I'm wrong in the comments below. And if you'd like to support me on Patreon, the link is down there. Cool.